Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grateful Not Greedy podcast. My name is Chris, and I am here with my ever faithful co-host, Rachel. How are you, Rach?
I'm great. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing better because I finally just got a shower today, so that's a win. Grateful. Yay. I know. Now it's like so ridiculous, but it truly is the little things that make your day. So that's mine today. I'm excited to talk to you actually because I have a topic to cover with you that I think you will have more insight on than probably most people in the United States of America, if not the world. So one of the things that I love to do in my ADD moments is to kind of like look on Zillow. I think a lot of us do this. Like, hey, what if I lived in like Charleston, like South Carolina? Like, what if I lived in Annapolis, Maryland, where I have like a very best girlfriend? You know, what if I lived there? Like, what if I lived like all these places I have in my head that I kind of in the back of my mind think that would be amazing? Or, you know, the conversation always of people from California, like, should I really move to Texas? Should I just move to Texas? Should I just like call it, you know, like that's it, you know, I'm done. Moving to Texas, you know, taking my taxes with me. Thank you very much. So I want to have this conversation with you so badly because I feel like you and I live in some of the most spectacular places in the world. Yet I still look on Zillow and I still think about other places and I still have this wanderlust. And I still, when I go and travel, like I'll go do these like big epic trips. And I'm like, could I live in Portugal? Like, could I be an expat in Thailand? You know, like what is this? And I actually think I donated this gene to my daughter too, because she started to do this little like recycling thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, did I do that? So I think what would be really cool to talk about is kind of like, what is that? What is that wanderlust? I live in one of the most spectacular, like I said, like, I mean, it is such a just naturally beautiful place. I am so fortunate in so many ways, yet still have this concept that, you know, it's kind of like not grass is always greener, but there's more grass somewhere else. They grow grass over there too, right? They grow really green grass over there too, right? And especially, you know, you and I share commonalities too, because we both traveled for years and years. We traveled all over the country. So we've seen a lot and we've also lived in other states. So why don't you start and tell us a little bit about where you live?
Oh my goodness.
One thing we haven't told everyone is a little bit of we're not going to give our whole backstory, but
just a little piece.
We can start with kind of like, where do you live and how do you approach it? Because you have challenges too, even living in paradise.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the desert in Phoenix, lived up and down the coast of California. And,
that's right.
then, and then, you know, a while in Ohio and then Hawaii for the last 16 years. And I can agree, like I am so fortunate that I get to call Hawaii my home. I am so fortunate that at the end of every vacation, I'm like, I get to go home to a vacation.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's stunning. And then life happens and I'm sitting here and I forget occasionally that I live in Hawaii and that I should, you know, keep that in the forefront of my mind at all times because it is such a privilege. It really is.
That's kind of like a should, like you even said it there. Yeah. And I do that too. Like I should.
Well, and actually it's not just a should, like I want to do that.
Yeah.
It's a practice then. It's like retraining. Okay. And I think I'm lucky enough when I drive into town, like I can see the water and I'm like, the water reminds me. Right. And I think when you see the water or sunset, you're like, oh, completely. Right. Yeah. I forget. I'm not just driving on a road. Like I forget exactly for this moment for, you know, rushing around this morning trying to get XYZ done and get this kid off to school and, you know, all of those things. And then I get in the car and I'm like driving in and to teach and all of a sudden I see the ocean and like the waves crashing and I'm like, it's great.
Yeah. Well, no, it's true. I think there's kind of those things. I remember you and I don't know if we were on the phone or I was just leaving you one of my random voice messages that I tend to do a lot. But, you know, there's a bridge we have on PCH. You drive like just over and there's kind of there's it leads out to the ocean, right? So you're driving over this bridge, and on one side you have it's just like this estuary basically. And on the other side you have the harbor that leads to the ocean. And I was just driving over that bridge, which I do many times, probably many times a day. And I was just like, wow. Oh, we were on the phone, I think, right?
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
just like, wow, like the sky is such like a beautiful pink. The boats are just in like this most beautiful, spectacular reflection coming off the water. Like it was just a very striking moment. So I know that you and I are both like cognizant of that. And I was laughing the other day when there was like a full moon or something, and you put something up on your Instagram. You had like the full moon, and I sent you the same picture. I was like, that's so funny. I took a picture of the full moon too, like at 2:00 in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, there it is. And I took a picture of it too. So there's that, and okay. So maybe there's a little bit of difference between the two of us, and maybe other people have this kind of situation going on too. I I I have an amazing home. I'm very, very fortunate that I have a house, like a house in a really good neighborhood. And my kids have been very, like have really enjoyed growing up here. I've got some great amenities tied to it. However, I have never felt really comfortable in my home. So I guess that's step one, right? So that's kind of something that I've never cultivated well for myself. So I think that might be one step of the difference. The other is I've always kind of got like one foot out the door, especially now because our kids are getting older, 1 foot out the door of California. And that's kind of a dangerous position to be in, right? Because you're almost like never fully settled. You're always kind of looking for, what the next thing. And I've just even the last couple weeks started to reflect, like really, when things start to get ahead, when you really, it's in front of you and you're like, hey, what would that really look like if I didn't live here? And if I just visited here and I lived someplace, one of these places that I love to look at. I love to look at them. And then I think about the other places I've lived that I thought were amazing. The other places I've traveled that I thought were amazing, but it's very different living someplace full time versus, vacationing there or popping in for a weekend on your friend's wedding or, whatever you're doing. So I think let's speak to that too, because where's the grateful side? Where's the greedy side? Is it okay to be a little greedy? Is it okay for me to look on Zillow and have like this wanderlust of like what else might be? Is that grasping, or is that just entertainment? Because there's like an entertainment value of kind of looking on. I know a lot of us do this. We're like, oh, look at that house.
Well,
That's so
it's like it stokes imagination and creativity because you're like, oh, I get to visualize something totally different.
That's true.
It feeds a different part of our brain, and it's just kind of like imagining something different. Not that if you're doing it for escapism, that's one thing, but you're doing it like, oh, I wonder what this would be like. Like, oh, that'd be so cool. Like, oh, I love this. Like, this house doesn't look like any other house where I live here,
Right.
And this is interesting and playful and kind of just curious. And so there's a place for that. The question is, are you doing it all day, every day? Like, is this like, that's,
don't look at my bookmarks. Don't check my history on.
There's that. And, and, we both live in a place that people love to vacation to. And so when people vacation, it's different versus when they live. And, Hawaii, I love it. It's my home. And this place calls my heart. Like it feeds my soul here. And it's also not just paradise. So it's like there are things that are challenging.
Think actually now that we're having this conversation, like I always say, like we never know where these conversations can go. I think you can kind of I can speak to people about California, but I think you could kind of speak to the person who's sitting there in their home in wherever, maybe it's cold and they're tired. Like you said with your mom the other day, when you never have to worry about her slipping in the snow. That's just not something that's going to happen, right? A tidal wave maybe, and no snow. So, but you can speak to the process of having like a dream, having like something that you've envisioned for your life, making it happen, and then seeing that it's not just like a dream. I know now you probably have created it into that, but it's not just like a dream all the time. And there are some downsides, if you will, to living. You think like, and I have other family who also live in Hawaii, lucky me, but but you think like, oh, living in Hawaii is like, it's the golden ticket. It's like got to be the most spectacular thing ever. But just like we've been talking about in our conversations, you have to take everything that living in Hawaii is. Everything.
Yeah. The whole package.
It's not just like going to the beach every day, and it's not just not sipping a Mai Tai every day. And there's a lot of things. So kind of like speak to that, because I think you might be able to help even some of us who are sitting on Zillow, like thinking about moving to Hawaii or wherever. And like, how do we balance all of this? Because obviously, I think it would be easy for someone to say like, well, of course Rachel's grateful. Like she lives in Hawaii. Like what, that's kind of going through my head. Like why are we even having this conversation? Like why? Like so, you can totally speak to that because there's a real reason to have this conversation for both of us.
There is. And I mean, I go back, I lived in Ohio for 4 years before coming here. And I actually really liked it there. We had a great place. Like it was great. It was convenient. Airport. I had 2 airports to fly out of. Like all the things that I think of. And I met amazing people, and it was a great experience. And then Hawaii came next, and of course, the entry into that was very hard because I'm very far away from everybody. Families all on the continental United States, and we. Coming here, like I didn't know anyone, and in this place that is more transient, people are more hesitant to befriend you,
local,
or anybody who's lived here. Because we all experienced the revolving door. Like I saw one of my high school friends that I went to high, like he was, went to grade school and high school. He lived here, and he lived on a different island. I went to go, like I was there, and we caught up, and I was asking him about living here, and I think we'd only been here a couple of years or something. And he was like, he goes, what I tell people, if they want to be my friend, come back in 5 years, and then maybe I'll be your friend. Right. Because he's had so many times that he's made friends with people, and it's a revolving door, and you invest in that person, and then the person's gone then, and you're like having to rebuild. So I understand why people are hesitant. Doesn't matter if they grew up here or if they didn't grow up here. People are looking to build a community. A community is not someone who's going to be here for a short period of time.
Yeah, you almost feel used in a way.
Yeah, you do. And it's like the over-under is 5 years. That's what the data says, 4 to 5 years, right? And so that's where he came up with his number. And I was like, wow, that's kind of rough. And then I lived here for a while, and I was like, I might adopt that, because it's heartbreaking when people you love and you build a deep relationship with, and then they move away. When people move away from here, it's not just moving to the state next door.
Totally.
We are the most remote island chain in the world. Like you've got to make an intention to come here. You don't just like randomly drop in here. And so that is part of the challenge of being here. Now, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it makes it a little different to build a place here for yourself and to feel deeply connected. And so, for me, I was like, I had to give it time. And at that point I had like, Dax is a baby, just a tiny baby.
You're a new mom. There's a lot of adjustments, and you don't have a community established. And that's a hard thing on its own.
It was a challenging time. And I remember I woke up one morning and it just like tears. And I was like, what did I do? Like what? Because I was the one that was like, I want to move to Hawaii. And then I'm like, what? And of course there was like a sadness in there because it was scary and hard and I didn't know where to start. But now being here, obviously I continue to choose this place every day. And when I'm traveling away from here, I can't wait to come home. And when people come to visit me, I have so much excitement to show them what this place means to me. However, it is not for everyone. There are hard things, right?
Wow.
It's expensive. The food is expensive. Like things aren't available. Amazon, like I'm blown away when you go to the mainland, you can get something the next day. I'm like, wow.
the next day. Sometimes I live around LA distributions. It's just like, oh, do you want it in 15 minutes? We'll be there.
I know. And like,
you really needed that laundry detergent. It's like so random. Yeah. It's like, we're like a speed dial with Amazon here. It's ridiculous.
Well, and not just like Amazon, but like you have anything can be delivered to your house at any time.
Oh yeah.
Like,
food, anything. Yeah.
I don't have that. Right. And they're like, oh, just
not
grab
to mention flights, like your point earlier. It's just like, I have, what do I have? Like, I have 4 airports I have,
Yeah, you got a lot.
I have so many. I don't even know what to do with them. And I have one of the greatest in the world in terms of access. Right. So yeah, I mean, just even that, you're like hopping, unless you just want to go to LAX, but even that for you still have to get somewhere. And then there's one flight, and then, right? You got to drive 2 hours to get to that one spot. And then there's one flight that you can get on that comes into the mainland as a direct, nonstop kind of thing. You're only going to LAX, right? Yeah.
It's, it is a different experience, but, and the grateful part is like, then it causes me to slow down a lot. It causes me to not meet things as quickly. Like it changes your outlook and your perspective. However, if you come here expecting it to be the same, it's not going to be the same.
This is interesting.
Right?
Yeah, this is
you have to accept it for what it is.
The whole thing.
Yeah, anywhere you live, there are trade-offs. It's like anywhere. And even in where I live on this island, like I live close to the water. There's a trade-off. It's hotter down here. There's a trade-off. There's like, less wind down here. It's busier down here.
You just had to evacuate not too long ago.
We had the tsunami evacuations. I had to clear out and clear out my 83-year-old mom.
Yeah.
So there's always a trade-off. And so living here has that trade-off as well. Even in a place that people, can't wait to come here for vacation, living is very, very different. But it doesn't mean I can't live here and still appreciate it and be grateful for it, even with the rough edges around it. And I think that's what makes it even more special for me is if you stay here, you have to choose to stay here. It's not easy staying
like
here.
The other people too, like the 5+ years and all that stuff. Like those people are invested in staying.
Yeah, but you choose, like, you have to work to come here. Like, you have to get here first of all, which is a long flight, right? And then you have to stay here is a very clear choice because there are places that are much easier to live. And so you're making that clear choice to stay. And I love going back to the continental of the United States and like catching up with friends and seeing family and all that stuff. I absolutely love it. And there are moments that I'm like, oh, it'd just be easier over here. And then I come home and I'm like, and this is my home. And this is what it feels like home for me. And I remember you, Chris, like, do you remember saying this? Like, I think you said, okay, once you get Hawaii out of your system and you come back to the continental US, like, let me know. And I was like, out of my system. Okay. I think everybody thought that. They're like, oh, let them just get it out of their system. They'll be back in a minute, And people stop saying that now.
Right. Well, no, and it's not like unfounded because it happens, right? That's like something that happens. And I mean, I know for us, we kind of have like the opposite thing. I feel like there's two sides because believe me, I do plenty of research about what do people do when they leave California, because this is like a real conversation I'm having in my head all the time. So the concept is, well, you leave California and you never look back. You're like so psyched, you're just like, it for whatever reason, whether it's financial, whether it's like your friend network, whether it's politically, whatever is aligning up for you, that wherever you're moving, that didn't really fit as well for you, that you don't even realize, it's like all this kind of like insidious stuff that you don't realize until you're out of it, that you kind of can breathe a little bit more. So there's that. And then there's the other people who are in California and they're like, okay, we just need to get out of here. We need to go to Texas because it's cheaper to live there and or we need to go to Florida because it's, whatever. I guess there's no state tax in Florida. That's the reason you would move there. Everyone needs to think about this. There's like a lot of things that add up because you can't really get insurance. I'm finding out like there's a lot of other stuff. But those people, like some of those people then come back and then they have the whole cycle of not being able to re-enter California because of the housing market and how expensive it is and how you can't just come unless you're a billionaire. I mean, I guess you can then, but you can't just kind of like come and go. So I think kind of the big part of this conversation is like, how do we get into that alignment on the daily where it's like, to your point, I think you had a really sweet way of making me feel better about my, Zillow habit. Just like it's kind of entertainment. And if you're not doing it like all the time, you can just kind of look at it like it's entertainment, or in my case, sometimes I view it as research. And, I have a son who lives in another state that, he's eventually going to need to figure out some property. He's either going to have to rent another apartment or he's going to have to buy something, so there's like there's researchy kind of stuff. I call it research, but I'm also thinking, can I buy a house next door? Yeah. Is that on the list? I mean, but it's true, right? It's true. So I think like being able to, if we can kind of just think about, how do we get to the point wherever you live, that every day you have a settlement in your body that, and it's also like, I'm thinking like, what would my sage friends tell me about this kind of stuff? Because I think there's so much wrapped in this conversation, because it is, like I said about my home, like there are things that you can do in your personal space, whether you are into plants or you have feng shui stuff going on, or you're really good at, music and you're able to like set up this cool record player. I don't know. People do all kinds of amazing things in their homes that I'm so raptured by, really. I'm just like in awe of what people can do. It's not my talent. It's just not my thing. It's not that it's not my thing. I'm not as talented at that as I am at other things. And maybe that conflates in my experience with California, because what I love, it's probably the same thing you love about where you live, is that I can get up on any day and put on whatever. I could put on jeans. I could put on a puffer. I could put on a sweatshirt. I could put on a bathing suit. I can put on, I could put on my golf shoes. I could put on my skis. I can really kind of put on anything and have that experience. And that is like kind of pretty amazing. And I think that's something that you really start to take for granted, because we don't do it. It was muggy today, and I was like complaining a little. I'm like, gosh, it's like really muggy, and how am I going to get my workout in? I work out outside, and like it's ridiculous. Like when you just stop to think, how easy it is and how quickly you can take things for granted. Especially I've lived in California for decades now. Like for decades I've been here. So, and again, this is going to sound entitled. This is going to sound like, who are they even to say that they have a bad day, And actually, I will say, in that, like, not have a bad day, like very recently, I was reading you never get to have a bad day kind of thing. You never have a reason to have a bad day when you wake up. Like you wake up, you are here, you are part of the world, no bad days, right? Yeah. Like no bad days, right? So I'm like, oh, that's super powerful, like a really powerful message. So in that, I mean, you must have people. Do you have people who have bad days there? Do people complain?
Of course, yeah. And people struggle here.
Yeah. So like, what is that? And like, how do we get to the point where I think even being settled, like being just settled with your own self maybe it's more meditating. Maybe you do more yoga than I do. I don't know. Maybe there's something else more powerful.
I think it's a couple of things. Like one, accepting where you are and seeing like the good in it, right? The grateful, not greedy, like looking around and being like, wow, I actually can wear shorts today. I'm still in my flip-flops or slippers, whatever you want to call them. And I can get to the beach for a few minutes and jump in the water. Like you have all those things that you can find the positives in, right? Like I have fruit growing in my yard right now. I have a bunch of avocados, like, grateful, grateful, grateful. But then I also think there's the other side of it, is when we force ourselves to be in a place that we don't want to be, but we stay there just for the whatever blank, because this is where I should be, because this is where I'm supposed to be, and it's like, be where it serves you. And, and I really, it's a hard thing, because it's dependent on a lot of things, like job and commitments and family.
There's a lot of sacrifices. Yeah.
There's a lot in there. And it is a hard piece. Like, not everyone can live in Hawaii. I get it. It's not for everyone, and it's not easy. But if you're here and it's not serving you, like go somewhere that serves you. Like in California, do people stay because they're like, I made it, I should stay, I need to stay. And it's like, is that what you really want? Or is that some ideal you held on to?
Totally.
Because you thought it would answer a lot of big things for you, and it doesn't. But, and if you are there, if you're in that space, like, or if you're living in a place and that's where you're committed to, like I was committed to Ohio for that chunk of time.
Yeah, I lived in Pennsylvania. I mean, I loved it too.
Yeah, exactly. We both have that experience.
I've lived a lot of places. Yeah, New York City, Maryland, North Carolina. Like, I've lived a lot of places.
Yeah, so we've lived in those places and also found the beauty there.
So
and also
much.
found
Yeah.
like the people there and also found the quirky places there and all of those things. And I don't look at that time as negative. I actually like savor it. It had such a different experience in my world. I'd never have lived in that part of the country before. And there was a lot I learned to appreciate. And even in the cold winters, I learned to appreciate them things in different ways. So wherever you are, it's like it just takes a minute. And if you can't find them, ask someone else,
Yeah,
right?
what do they love about what do they love
Yeah.
you like that? Like, what do they love about being here? What's so great about
Yeah,
today?
why are they here? What brought them here? What keeps
Yeah,
them there, and that helps remind you of what's going on around you. I mean, maybe it all doesn't match, but some of them will ring true in some variation. And that's where we can find the gratitude of where we are. And, people, when they leave Hawaii, there's this like moment of like, oh, I shouldn't go. Like,
I think that's here too. I think that's a California
yeah,
thing too. You were making a really good point about that. It's like, it's almost like how dare you leave? Like, are you kidding? Like, it's
yeah,
like that, a little bit of
yeah.
that, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and there's a lot of that here. But my response to them, and some of these people I care deeply about and I don't want them to leave, but I say, go check out what you need to check out. This place isn't going anywhere. It's not
right,
like you can't come back. You can always go back. So it's not like something is there for you to hold on to. It's something is there for you to experience and try. If it's not it, go try something else. And this place, this state, this island still available. Like it doesn't shut
right.
down, it doesn't fill up, it doesn't go away, any of those things. And then like settling into that you have a choice. You have a choice of where you live. You have a choice of how you frame that. You have a choice of having a good day every morning, like the minute you
Every
open your
morning.
eyes,
Yeah,
right? And like the
yeah,
one that I'd seen lately is um this thing about wake up and tell yourself this is the best day ever. And you
yeah,
walk around
yeah.
saying it to yourself
Oh,
all day, this is the
I
best day
love
ever.
that.
And then you start to see all
That's
the great
Phineas and
things about the
Ferb.
dead.
It's the best day
Yeah.
of I know.
Yeah, so it's the best day ever, but as
Best
you
ever.
say it, yeah, as you say it, like here I was saying it the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, oh, there's like it's rain, but then oh my gosh, there's a rainbow, and then it's the best day ever. And then, I like walk into the store and I'm like, okay, best day ever. And then I run into a friend, I'm like, oh look, best day ever, and all these little things.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
you focus your attention on that, and all of a sudden it does become the best day ever. And it
Right.
does become the thing that you are asking for because your brain is looking for that stuff to verify it and to make it happen. And imagine if like we could just do this. And you know what? What if you said, Chris, this is the best place ever,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Right.
Like this is the
Wow.
best place ever. I mean, I'm looking out my window and there are so many shades of green and I see these abiyu fruit on my tree. And I'm just like, this is the best
Right.
place ever. And it is. For me right now, it is. And it is where I am. Right? So,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
grateful.
you had so many good points too, even thinking about, where people maybe that's part of it too, because I respect so many different parts of the country. I have had so many amazing experiences traveling around this country and, living, we're both from the West, right? So we're both from the West. I've lived in the Midwest also. I've lived on the East Coast. I've lived, South, like the whole thing. And having just traveled so much around here, I really do have such an amazing just respect really for the people around the country, for the nature around the country. There are states that people can't even imagine because they don't go there, how beautiful these places are and how varied they are. So I think even part of my like wanderlust is probably even related to that. It's probably more nostalgia. It's just like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
like, right? Because when you're talking about Ohio, I remember, driving in Pennsylvania, just thinking like going like antiquing and stuff, which is like a thing you can really do there because like
Yes,
they really
I
do have
know.
old farms that really do have old, whole
Yeah.
kitchen things that you could buy and put in your house, and they're like, it's sourced from wherever. You're like, I just saw that at the farm, like down the street. Yeah. So but having those experiences and then having some like East Coast experiences, like with the next to the water and the Atlantic, it's just incredible. Like the Chesapeake Bay
Mhm.
is like amazing, the Outer Banks, like there's just, I mean, and the intercoastals and
Yeah.
on and not Mobile, Alabama, just like on and on and on and on and
Yeah.
on, right? I mean, so I think that is probably something that kind of keeps my head hopping, and maybe everyone doesn't have that experience. They just have, most people don't travel to the extent, I don't think, that we have.
No.
Like around the country, so maybe you don't have it, but yeah, settling into okay, so just to kind of frame the grateful not greedy part of this. So the grateful part is wherever you live, it's your job, right, to make it the best day ever. And I think then I'm taking a little bit of responsibility from this conversation for making, I think there is a certain energy, just I'm a little woohoo in that way. There's certain energy in certain homes that, some homes, like I walk into some people's homes and I'm just like, oh, I could just like melt into this place and never leave and just be totally fine. And that home, it doesn't matter where that home is. There's something about the energy of that home. So I guess even from that standpoint, I could be responsible for that, creating that, a little bit more. And to your point, if it's an attitude of gratitude, then that probably drives it, right? So if it's like, this is the best home ever. This is the best home ever. It's the best home ever, right? It's the best home ever in the best place ever. And, and the best dogs ever. No. But it's right. You're helping me because it's true. It's like, great. You can extend that to every, every layer. This is I love my car. My car is 9 years old. It's like 9 years old. Is it 10 years old? It's 9 years old. My car is 9 years old. I love the car. I have no reason. I'm a creature of habit. I have no reason ever to change that car. I'm just praying it doesn't die at some point, because then I don't even know what I'm going to do. Like I've tried to put up on my next car, and I'm like, I don't even want to think about it because I'm so committed to my car. I love my car so much. It fits me. It's mine. It works great. It's
okay.
It's been a long time.
Your car, take that and apply it to everything else. How you view your car.
Yeah.
Right? You love your car.
Yeah.
It's like 9 years old, and it's like, you want it there. I mean, imagine if we looked at where we lived like that. You're like, I love where I live. It's like, I've been here for this many years. It's like, it's going to take care of me. I'm going to take care of it. I do not want to go. This place, it has served me well, just as this car has served me well. Right.
Yeah.
So you can really lean into that specifically, because we all have things that we are grateful for in our lives. Like, you're like, oh, I'm not sure about where I live, but like, oh, my friends are amazing. Okay. So then like, what is it about your friends you like?
I mean, it's one reason I wouldn't move is because I have such an amazing network. So, and so many, like we talked about, this micro communities here of support. And, I have some of my best friends from the whole world, like that I've accumulated across my lifetime, who happen to live in California. How fortunate am I, right? So there's that too. And I can put them in my car, drive them around, which is amazing.
Yeah, put everything in there.
And have that whole thing. Yeah, so I think okay. So the grateful thing is, I love the best day ever. I love the best day ever. I love the best house ever. I love the best front yard ever.
Place
I love
ever.
the best backyard ever. I love the best, the best kitchen ever. Because that's another thing. Like if you are living in a home that you feel like you need to renovate or you need to like make some changes. I've been in that too. And like that's where you're just like, you just kind of can't ever settle in that too. Right. So then you could just be focusing in, how exciting is this that I get to, I never have to settle on one thing. I just get to live in possibility. Every time I walk into my kitchen's just one big possibility, even with this old Formica counter and these old cabinets and these junky drawers. My kitchen is nothing but possibility, right? So we all know that like making those changes can obviously change your life. You can feel a lot better, but also, I think there's definitely opportunities just to sit in it, because then when you do make the change, you're even more grateful too. Like, how great is this that I have that? So yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting conversation to have with people like us who live in these places that I think just naturally, and I mean, I have friends who, they love living in California. They would never consider living anywhere else. And I think a lot of mine honestly just comes down to financially, or, just like, are there other options? Like, I think about it very probably incorrectly, to your point. Like, I don't think about it necessarily like, is this serving me or not serving me? I think about it, is this the practical decision? Like we've talked about this, does this check the boxes? Is this correct on the spreadsheet? And that's like not healthy, maybe. I'm going to evaluate that as I'm like reflecting even on this, because other people who live somewhere else might be thinking the same thing in the reverse, like not wanting to make that move because it's more expensive. Like if you had this dream to live in New York City and you stop yourself because it is very expensive to live in New York City, and you are going to have a 600 square foot apartment that you share with your, spouse or your two roommates or whatever. You are going to have a dog that's this big, not this big. There's stuff like that, but you want to be able to do what is calling you. I think that's kind of like your real point. Like, and maybe my wanderlust isn't just, random. Maybe it's not random. Maybe there is like a calling there that I can listen to, but while still being respectful of, the gratefulness that I have to while I'm engaging and entertaining these callings, I can be really reflective and appreciative that I get to engage in that in California. Yeah. I've been to the Arctic. It's freezing. It's really hard. Like, it would be really hard for me to just be like chill and engaging in this conversation. Like, whoa, I wonder what should I do on my spreadsheet? Where should I put this stuff? Like if I'm like sitting in the middle of the Arctic Circle, right? So there's kind of this is like an interesting grateful, not greedy. And I'm realizing there's probably a lot of greed, more greed in my conversation than maybe is warranted. And that's like kind of what I can look at. Well, I can keep my Zillow habit. I think I'm in check there. I feel like through this, I feel like I've kind of in check. I can keep my Zillow habit. But one of the things that maybe, I think we've talked about this in other conversations too, just as like we're finishing, it's either you're in or you're out, right? So it's like you're in or you're out. You're either decided you're committed or you're not committed. So from that point, it is commit to every day where you are. Especially if that's not changing, you're not moving tomorrow.
Yes.
Commit to being here, commit to making the friends, commit to, meeting your neighbors, commit to, saying hello to the people at the grocery store, commit to
telling yourself it's the best day ever.
It's the best day ever. Exactly.
I mean, it's just like, yeah.
Yeah. No, and I am going to take that because it's the best day ever. I'm living in the best house ever. And because ever is right now. Like, ever is right now. Ever is not 2 seconds ago, and it's not 2 minutes from now. Ever is right now. So it is the best day ever because I've made it to here. So yeah, I like that. Very helpful. Because I think I feel like I should put an ad for Zillow on our little on the bottom. And then this if you like this podcast, find us on Zillow. It's like, because I just feel like I spend enough time on Zillow evaluating all the many options that might possibly be there, while I'm evaluating.
I love the summary of saying, like, here's what I need to do. And then you still have your Zillow on the side. But maybe if you're on Zillow looking at spots, it's like, what is about that spot that's attracting me to this? And is that available to me here?
Yeah. Right? That's so helpful. Right. Just like, what is it that I'm trying to create? What emotion am I trying to generate, or is being generated in me by that? And is that available to me? Like when I went over that bridge and I saw all the sailboats out and the pink sky, and wow, I mean, it was just, and the, sending each other the moon's available everywhere.
Yeah. The moon's
available everywhere. Yeah. That's actually a really good exercise. So instead of beating yourself up for it, just to say, like, what is it? And then to your point that you've made many times, it just gets you closer to your preferences, gets you closer to who you are. It gets you closer to what you like. It gets you closer to your authentic self. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that's not a bad thing.
That is always a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, and to like, as you were summarizing, I was like, there's, it doesn't mean I'm always grateful here. Like, to be clear, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? It's, there are times I'm like, whew, this is really hard or expensive, or, limiting is the one, especially having a child. You're like, oh, it's limiting. And then the other, then I'm reminded of like the good things of what is here and why I chose to live here. Like if I can revisit why I came here in the first place, that regrounds me. And this conversation just kind of regrounded me to that reason of why I chose it. And I didn't know all the drawbacks and I didn't know all the advantages, but that reason hasn't changed. And to your point, like the community, like you were saying, the connections you have, it's like those things are such a big piece of it and a big piece of what keeps us growing and keeps us connected to where we live. And so sometimes if I find myself in that space, I just go around and be around one of my girlfriends here that loves it. And it just like reignites my fire. So I know some of your friends there, and I bet if you went with them to like, let's go sit outside and, chat for like with a tea, they would fill your cup up and you'd be like, okay, I'm ready to go. Southern California wins,
Totally. Yeah, I'm doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing that very thing tomorrow. So, and you're so right. It's like, I'm going out with one of my international friends who is not from this country, who has chosen to live not only in the United States, but to live in California. And it's a great opportunity for us to, I
we run into each other.
Yeah. Just kind of like have like an aren't we lucky conversation of just, like revisiting that because,
So here's a fun task. We do this sometimes sitting around the table is we do a lightning round of grateful. And you just shoot it back and forth like you're passing a ball back and forth. Like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, I'm grateful for this. And you just like go back and forth. And by the end, like, you're like, I love this. Can go on for hours. And it's so fun because then you're like, wow, I am actually grateful for that. And you said that. And, and then it just like kind of, it trains that pathway, that muscle of us to stay in this round. And to be able to think of them fast. Because sometimes you're like, ooh, what am I grateful for? But like the lightning rounds, and it's great to do with kids. It's great to do at the dinner table. It's great to do in all these days. You just do lightning round and you're like, okay, let's time and see how fast we can go or see how much we can figure out in this time. And you'll be amazed at how much you pull out. And it just means you have to raise it to the surface to see it again.
Yeah. Yes. Then, yes.
There's so many great... Yeah, so many great tools out there, like so many great ways to look at this. And if one doesn't work, try a different one. Like throw out that tool, try another tool. Like,
right, exactly. And because so as we close out, so it's like so the lightning round I love. I think that's a great tool. Mm-hmm. There's the concept for me of like not beating myself up, of just using it as I'm getting closer to my preferences. I'm just investigating. I'm just I'm just entertaining myself.
You're collecting data, right?
Collecting data. What's possible? Like what do other people do in other parts? I'm
for sure.
Yes, I'm a social scientist at heart. Like there's a lot of things that I'm just interested in, and like how people function and how the world works. So so I don't have to beat myself up with that. And then
can I put in one thing though here though? Yeah. This is funny because I said like we're just collecting data, and it brought me back to the dating one. So it's like we're just dating the place we live in.
Oh yeah,
we're dating it.
Yes,
right. We're dating it.
Totally.
We're like on dates with it. Like, where are you going to take me today? Like, where am I going to go on this date?
That's so helpful. Actually, now even now that you just said that, that is so helpful because I am always like, I think I get like feeling like I signed the longest contract of my life, or I just, like you put a ring on it, it's like, did I agree? Was I the ultimate? Was I like, when did I say that I would marry California?
You get it. So that's all part of it. And it's a no-fault state, so you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's super helpful that you're saying that too, because it's true. It's like, but if every day is just like, it's a date. It's just a date. It's just a date. I can just go out. I can, I can go to the grocery store. I can go to the movie. I could, go to work out. I can go to work, I do whatever. And that can be just a date. And I think I get a little like restricted. I just feel like closed because I feel like I need to make some decisions, or I need to think about this, or I don't need to think about anything. Like I'm fine. I'm right here. I have my 9-year-old car that still driving me around. Not even an issue. Like it's all fine. It's all totally fine. So I love the lightning round. I'm definitely going to take that. Just in the car. That's a commute.
Even in your own head, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, oh, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. And we do know from like neuroscience that works to like reinforce, the positive aspects of your life, which changes your life in a lot of other ways. So I love all that too. The lightning round. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to allow myself to date California. I'm going to go on some more dates.
And you know what? It's okay. You can go online too and look at other dates on Zillow. It's still date California.
I'm not cheating on California, Rachel. No, I'm not that kind of a girl.
California knows you can look at Zillow all the time.
But even to your point, it's such a good point though too, because it doesn't matter where you live. There are places that you haven't seen. There are things that you haven't experienced. There are restaurants you haven't gone to. There are walks you haven't done. There are, lakes you haven't visited, so you can't just like throw the baby out with the bathwater, there's so many places. I always joke. I'm like, I've seen way more of the rest of the world than I have of California. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, that's ridiculous. I've lived here for decades and there's so many nooks and crannies, even though I've done some epic trips here, but there's so many nooks and crannies that I haven't seen. I haven't investigated. I haven't even been to some places that I'm embarrassed to say that I haven't been here in California. So that's actually a super good point too. It's just to kind of even start looking at that list of, what are the amazing things that are in my own state or my own neighborhood that I haven't yet explored. And I definitely haven't, finished. It's not like, oh, I've done that 15 times. I haven't done it once.
And I am guilty of that too. I am guilty of that too here in Hawaii. Like, I live here and I don't go out and do all the amazing things available to me all the time. I should date Hawaii more often.
You should date Hawaii.
You could do a lot worse, right?
Like, right, but that's so true, especially when we're talking about like, you're in one place. It's like really far to get I think you guys do a good job of like staycations and stuff, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of I'm sure you don't go to Kauai that often. I'm sure you go to Oahu probably a lot. You probably, there's just other things that maybe are available. And I think everyone has that. Everyone has that. Like I said, even like driving in Pennsylvania, which is one of like the biggest states in the country, it's humongous, right? And, and I say like in the Pacific Northwest, I'm always like, there's no prettier place in the country than the Pacific Northwest in like, early fall, right? Or like the summer,
Yeah.
So like, there's just a lot, I think, but then other people would say like, well, it rains a lot there. Yeah, sure does. But it's also like very, 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 very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. This is helpful. I'm going to date California. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to enjoy this process of investigating and think about it. I'm going to do that lightning round of gratitude because I can do that for anything. It doesn't have to be this wanderlust conversation. Yeah. That could be on any conversation, but I'm also just going to settle in and I am going to make a commitment, though. I will say that even on this podcast, I will make my commitment. I'm going to say it out loud so the people I'm now accountable, just to make some of those trips around the state that I haven't done.
I love it.
To see those places that I haven't gone and just experience the there is a lot of magic, in this country in general, for sure. And I have a lot of access to that, even around where I am. Yeah, because I always think of it as like we're isolated being on the West Coast, but we're not. We're not. Because we have a lot even just right here. So okay, I love it.
Thanks. Good. And thanks for reminding me how lucky I am. And then also that for me, I live in the best place ever. For me, right? And for me, it's the best
on the best day ever. Yeah, and for you, exactly. Be responsible for where you live and how it shows up in your life, and what are you doing to create that? Like, what are you doing to make it the best place ever? So that was actually really helpful to me too.
Thank you. Yeah, this is really great. Thank you so much.
So this has been, and forever will be the Grateful Not Greedy podcast. Thanks so much, Rach. This is fun talking about wanderlust and my Zillow habit and dating California. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
And we will see you next time. Aloha, Rach.
Aloha, Chris.